Hi. Hello, and we're coming back to talk about religious trauma syndrome. I just want to put up a disclaimer that I'm not anti-religion, so please don't come at the comments with, you need to be born again and all this and that and the other. This is a serious issue that we are taking to heart. So I told you in the last short that I would kind of expound upon my experience, but I want us to really understand what some of those symptoms are. So I'm going to read you what I found. So religious trauma symptoms can cause poor critical thinking skills, difficulty making decisions, a decreased sense of self-worth. It can cause difficulty in building strong relationships. It can cause sleeping issues, struggling with fitting in and belonging. That was me as a teenager. Nightmares, anxiety and depression symptoms, and grief symptoms. So I thought I would tell you about some of my experience, and we're going to go a little slow with this because there is so much that went on where we went to church. So it all started with when my great-grandmother passed away, and my family was looking for someone to do the service. That side of the family wasn't religious at all whatsoever. And I think my aunt found this preacher and he did the funeral, and subsequently my grandma started going, and grandma was kind of the matriarch, so when she asked her kids to go, they went. Now all my family was going at one time, but they got wise and kind of left, and it was just my dad there. But some of the weird things that they taught was that they were the only church, the only true church, which I questioned at a young age. Like, okay, this was brought together in the 1900s, so what happened to everybody else? Of course, the answer was they went to hell. They, at first, as a kid there, it just kind of seemed like normal church, but they kind of slowly unveil these weird truths. Like, for instance, married couples were not allowed to wear wedding rings. It was considered an adornment, and it was considered vanity. You were not allowed to wear shorts. You were not allowed to, if it was hot, go swimming, because that would be mixed sexes together and cause lust. Even if you were like 5, that was forbidden. You were never allowed to mix socially in what they would consider a delicate situation. So growing up, I was never allowed to go to a school dance. I was never allowed to go to my homecoming. I was never allowed to go to prom. I was never allowed to participate in anything like that. And there was so much buy-in from my family that unless you were a member of that church, you were not even allowed to associate with anybody. So I could go to school, but I was not allowed to be friends with anybody or bring them to my house because they were sinners. And you couldn't be unequally yoked together. So that made for a very bizarre high school experience for me. I kind of started to become very withdrawn around 10th grade, and because I figured, I'm not allowed to have any friends, so I just never really made any. So I started into a sea of depression. So I was probably in 5th grade when we started there. And I remember the first time that they spoke in tongues. We didn't know what was going on. My whole family was laughing. We thought they were speaking Jewish at the time. Just a 11-year-old kid, that made sense. But that became the realm of this religion. It was like one step away from the snake handlers, really. They were always scaring you with the rapture. They did mock raptures all the time. Even they would make me do it. I was probably in high school. I was in band, and I had to, when they had the younger kids out, go in the back room and blow a trumpet so everybody could say, jump up and go, "He's here," and scare the kids to go to the altar. I mean, there was always that fear that God was going to strike you dead. If you sinned, you had to be rebaptized. So if I went outside and said, "God damn it," I had to go repent. I had to be rebaptized every time you sinned. So I was wet a lot. Okay. So I'm interested in hearing some of what you may have went through and what religious trauma you may have. And we're going to expound on this. I'm going to go into a deeper dive with the church. But for now, just kind of slowly getting it out there. If you have any of these experiences, comment below. Let me know what you're going through. It is a serious thing, and I think a lot of people have it and don't know they have it. For a long time, I just always blamed circumstances in my youth before church on my anxiety, but I really think the religious trauma was the bigger part of it. So if you've been traumatized, comment below, like and share our video, and subscribe to our channel, and let's clear ourselves of these kinds of feelings so we can find our own joy. So hope to see you in the next one. Follow along.